Hey folks, SoloGamer here, and this week we're going to be talking about Fortune and Glory, one of my favorite games from Flying Frog Productions. Fortune and Glory is just basically an Indiana Jones type game where you go around the world hunting treasure, fighting bad guys, and passing extreme dangerous tests in order to win the game. As you can see, look how big this box is. I mean, I can put it's just huge. My whole arm is about the length of the box. And of course, it retails for about $100. I ended up getting mine for about $70, but you get a lot for that $100, as you can tell by the big old box. And of course, it's made by Flying Frog Productions, so you know you're going to get a great game. I can't stress enough how this is one of my favorite games. It's just a fun game. Theme is the best way to describe it. It just oozes theme, like most Flying Frog Production games do. But this one really, I think it really hits the nail on the head with its theme on this. You know, when you open this box, you're going to get a whole lot of good stuff and a big fun game. Now we have the base game right here, as you can see, big game, and it's for 1 to 8 players. You can play it solo, you can play it competitive, you can play it cooperative, just like all Flying Frog Production games, just about. And I mean, just look at the box. You can tell you're going to get a fun big game. Them Hill brothers, boy, they know what the hell they're doing when they make games. The components are great, top-notch, quality, and it's just a great game. There's only one problem with the base game, in my opinion, is that it really cried out. Now, I'm going to say this, as much fun as this game is, and as great as I find it, the base game did cry out for an expansion. It just felt like there was more that they could have had to it, and it didn't feel 100% complete. That being said, you know, like I can't stress enough, it's still a great game. But Flying Frog knew this, and so what they did was they came out with about 2 expansions within a couple months of each other. And the first expansion they came out with was the Rise of the Crimson Hand expansion, and what it does is it offers a new vile organization, some new heroes, a bunch of new cards, and a new major city epic events chart. This expansion right here probably completed this game about 100% satisfaction to me. It's exactly what it needed. It needed another vile organization. It needed some more cards, and this did it. And I would recommend that if you buy Fortune and Glory, that at the same time you buy this Rise of the Crimson Hand if you're able to. I mean, it just, Fortune and Glory is a great game, but this really completes it. And then they have a second expansion called Treasure Hunters. What it does, it adds some more heroes, a couple more mob villains, a bunch of new cards, and it adds personal missions and the dock events when you go to a port city. It's an okay expansion. I gotta be honest with you, I was just a little bit disappointed by it, and reason being is I think they made one error with that expansion. And what they should have did, instead of having 2 new mob bosses or 2 new mob villains, they should have had 3 villains in there instead of 2, and there should have been 1 from each group. There should have been 1 mob, 1 Nazi, and 1 Crimson Hand type villain. I personally think that is what should have went into that game. Other than that, game is very good. The expansion is very good. You don't really have to have it to play this game, unlike Crimson Hand, which I recommend you get. If you got some extra money, get Treasure Hunters. It's a good game. It's a good expansion for the game, but it just doesn't complete it as much as Crimson Hand does. And you know, also Flying Frog has a couple of mini card expansions. I think they're like 10 or 12 bucks. Sands of Cairo and Danger Test. And on another note, I have to honestly say that if you buy a product from Flying Frog's website, they have great customer service. I have ordered, except for the base game, I've ordered Crimson Hand, ordered Treasure Hunters, and I ordered a couple of those 2 cards expansions from Flying Frog Productions. I've gotten quick, fast, great service every time. Hell, I even got Rise of the Crimson Hand and Treasure Hunters a little early from their release date because I pre-ordered them. And if you ever have an opportunity, I would support Flying Frog. You may pay a few dollars more than you would on a site like, let's say, Amazon, but you really get good customer service, and I think that few dollars more is I like to support the company. I want to support Flying Frog. They keep putting out great products, and I just want to support them. So I buy from their website before I buy from Amazon. Like I said, I've never had any problems. I've had nothing but a great experience with them. So we're going to set up the game, go over a few things. We're going to be playing with all 3 expansions mixed in. They're easy to mix in, and you know, different heroes, all the cards, the major epic city events, the docks. We're just going to mix it all in and put it all together, and we'll get the board set up, and we'll find out who we're going to be fighting. We're going to pick everything by random, and let's get to going. Okay, we got the board set, as you can see, and look at that nice little board. It's the map of the world, and it's really a good quality board. You have the board set. We have a few things on there, and we'll go over that in just a minute. The villains vile organization that we picked in this one was the Mob, so we're going to be playing against the Mob on this one, and we have Franco Fettuccine, or however you pronounce his name, and Icebox Eddie are the 2 Mob bad guys. We have our mobster miniatures here, and we have some temple miniatures there, and we'll explain that as we go. We have our track here. Now, when this track gets to, we have 3 players, so when this track gets to 15, we lose the game. So we want to we're going to try to get this thing not to get to 15. We have our little dock event tokens. Of course, we have our fortune and our glory. Glory is like the currency of the game. You can buy stuff with it. You earn these things. You buy stuff. You can buy allies gear and all kinds of stuff with it. Fortune is what you got to get to win the game. Now, the bad guys will try to be getting fortune. We'll be trying to get fortune in order to win the game. There's a set amount depending on the number of players you have in order you have to get. And if we get that set amount before the Mob does, before the track goes to 15, we win the game. So our goal is to collect fortune, and in order to do that, we'll have to find treasures. And here are our treasure cards, and we're going to have the Ring of the Dead, and it's over here in the Amazon Falls. And you notice I have a couple fortune on the map, and that's going to be because it's in a jungle. When it's in a jungle like that, it gets some extra fortune. So this thing is going to be worth 4 fortune if we can get it. It has a little caveat though. If you get it, after all dangers you must fight zombies to get this artifact. Yeah. And you have to pass 3 danger tests in order to get this thing. Then we have the Armor of Power. It's worth 7 fortune. And you have to do 5 dangers in order to get this. And we're going to go over more along where how you do the dangers and stuff. But it is over here in the Yucatan. We have the Shroud of Hades. And it's when you complete this venture, you may take any one ally from the discard pile. And it's worth 3 fortune. And 4 dangers. And then you see the purple skull, and the purple skull is over here in Japan. So it's in Japan. And the last treasure, the Tears of the Golden Sun. And it says during this adventure you are -1 cunning, 4 dangers, 6 fortune, and it is over here in the British Isles. Now the game starts off with 4 adventures, 4 treasures. You put them on the board, and of course at the end of each round, if one treasure has been found, then what you're going to do is you're going to replace replenish the treasure. So you're always going to have at least 4 on the board. Sometimes an extra one can come up, and we'll go over these temple ones. These are a little different when they pop up. Of course, you can see we have the city cards. You play these when you go to a city and have an adventure in the city. And as you see on the board, like Hong Kong right here is a city. It is a port city, so it's going to have a dock adventure on it, and it's a major city. Where you see Bombay here is in the silver, whereas Hong Kong was in the gold. Bombay is in the city, and it's a minor city, just a smaller city. The fortune, if you sell it in a city, is worth more than you sell it in a minor city. And that's what you got to do. If you collect the treasure, you got to go to a city and try to sell it and get that fortune. We have Nazi enemies. We have the enemies card. We have the personal missions, which is from the Treasure Hunters expansion. And at the beginning of the game, each hero is going to get a personal mission card, and if they complete it, they get the bonus, the reward found on the card. You have your common items, your allies, your gear card. You have an event card, kind of like Touch of Evil. You have the villain event card, which you'll play every villain phase at the beginning. You have your artifacts, your adventures, your location, your dangers, and then we have a few little extra villains. How do you pick a treasure or an artifact and put it on the board? Well, we're going to do an example. Let's say we need a new treasure on the board. You're going to take an artifact card, and that's the shield, and you take an adventure card of death, and you put them together. So the shield of death, and that's how it's going to go. Then you pick a location from the location deck. It tells you where to put it. Face it would go in Italy, and you would put it in Italy. Put a little skull there to remind you. Here's our major city epic events. So, you know, has for each major city has a little epic event on there. You go there after you have your city thing. You can do an epic event, and we'll go over that more when we play. And here are our heroes. Our first one is Li Mi Chin. Yeah, okay. And she starts in Hong Kong. And it's a nice little miniature right here. Look at that. So we're going to put her up in Hong Kong. She has a combat of 3, agility of 5, cunning of 3, lore 2, 4 wounds she can take, and 1 defense. And we'll go over that more when we play as well. And she has a special ability, martial arts. While you are not using a gun, once per fight round, you may either re-roll all your missed fight dice rolls or force your opponent to re-roll one of their successful fight dice rolls. And she has a stealth. Once per sneak test, may re-roll a single die. This game is very much like a Touch of Evil in the way it plays and stuff. But there is one big difference. In Touch of Evil, in order to get success, you had to roll a 5 or 6. In this game, in order to get a success, you have to get a 4, 5, or 6. Like a hit or something like that. She, in her personal mission card is spin an adventure phase in each of the following cities, London and Hong Kong, and if she does that, she gets 2 fortune. Our next hero is Angel Espinoza. She starts in Mexico City. So we put her away over here in Mexico City. Right there. And she has combat 4, agility 3, cunning 3, lore 2, wounds 5, and then defensive 1. She may buy gear cards for 2 less glory than normal. Every gear and ally card costs 5 glory. Common items will have a different price tag on them, as you'll see. Expert Mechanic adds +2 to adventure dice during any tech or trap test. And these are our adventures. And we'll go over that real soon when we get our first one. She has a personal mission, recover a death artifact. So you see these little things on the side of these artifacts. This one has a little skull. That means it is a death artifact. So if she would recover this, she would get a reward from now on. Gain +2 adventure dice while on all tests at a death adventure. And our third player is Jenny Butler. She starts in Los Angeles. So we'll put her there. And she starts the game with 3 glory. May buy ally cards for 2 less glory than normal. Competitive, she gains +2 fight dice against any mob or female enemy villain, and has +2 adventure dice on any mob or femme fatale test. So we are playing the mob, so that ought to come in handy. 2 combat, 3 agility, 3 cunning, 3 lore, 5 wounds, 1 defense. And like I said, we'll go over all these kind of tests and how they work and everything like that. So we have the board set, and we got the game set up, and we'll, like I said, we'll go more in detail and everything, but we're going to play our first playthrough, and hopefully we'll win this game, and you'll get to see how much fun this game really is. It's different, and it's fun, and it's just, I love this game. I really do. I can't stress that enough. Probably it's my second favorite Flying Frog game. I know, behind Touch of Evil, but I mean, it's up there. And of course, on the board, the mob, they get to start with a mob headquarters, and it's in Chicago. So we're going to pause this, we're going to download it, and then we're going to start with our first round in Fortune and Glory.